President Obama says the world must seize the opportunity after a deal was agreed to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions. Speak to Iran expert Dr. SARA Bazoobandi from the Chatham House think tank. She joins us now from central London, as you can see. Thank you for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. We've just heard from Benjamin Netanyahu. He says that as far as he's concerned, his country will not be bound by this Iranian nuclear deal. We've heard from other Western nations, including the United States and the United Kingdom, saying that this is a great deal. Is it?
Well, the deal is the best possible deal that the international community and Iran could have expected. Of course, it's not an ideal deal for everybody, and there are strong criticisms especially from within the region. Some of the Arab Persian Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia or Israel have raised extensive concern about what this deal would mean for the future of the region. But the point that needs to be kept in mind is that it's very, very difficult and almost impossible that any deal would have been acceptable and would have received blessing of the Israeli government, simply because fundamentally the Israeli government is against any type of nuclear activity, including the civilian activities of Iranian government, which even according to the NPT, that's not something that Iran should be deprived from. Therefore, the only way to get the approval of the Israeli government would have been a complete dismantlement of the nuclear program in Iran, which is not possible, and it's not fair, and it's not something that the international legal system would accept that. But as far as the deal itself is concerned, one of the most important points about this deal is that it gives access to the very thorough monitoring system for Iranian nuclear activities to the international watchdogs. And of course, the breaking period, the so-called breaking period, which would Iranian nuclear program require in the case of any violation of their commitment and development of the military aspect of the program, is now a fairly long period, which would allow the international community to take action. And as President Obama today mentioned, that all of these incentives that Iran is given today, according to this deal, is going to be taken away from Iran with immediately, basically, if there is a case of violation. So I think all in all, this is the best possible deal that we could have got. And of course, as far as the Israeli government is concerned, as long as this is not a complete dismantlement of the Iranian nuclear program, it's not acceptable.
Okay, although you talk about access to varying sites, but am I not right in saying that as part of this deal, it's not an automatic access to these sites? The Iranians can say to the IAEA, who will be carrying out these inspections, actually, no, we don't want you to go there today or this week or over the next 20 days. And then does that not put us in a similar position to the one that we found ourselves with in Iraq back in 2001, 2002?
Well, first of all, it's important to remember that from a technical perspective, lots of activities have been slowed down and limited to a great extent. The level of enrichment, the number of centrifuges, and lots of technical debate has taken place before this deal. And of course, a lot of expansion, a lot of areas which would allow Iran to expand its nuclear program has been completely restrained and limited. And should this be the case, that Iran would completely refuse access of the international community to sites that they previously committed according to the deal, or outside of the deal, it's an issue of concern and they refuse that, it would have its own consequences, and it would certainly be seen from the international community's perspective as a violation of the deal. And of course, it will have consequences for Iranian government and Iranian economy, and all the sanctions that would come back to place. So what I'm trying to say is that the restrictions and the limitations are not going to allow Iran to escalate its nuclear activities without being at earlier stage being monitored and being caught by the international watchdogs.
Yeah, we did hear, did we not, from President Clinton, I think it was back in 1994, some 20 odd years ago now, when he said, we've done a deal with North Korea, nothing to worry about, it can never be a nuclear power. And I'm sure many in Congress, certainly the Republican arm of Congress, will be looking to that and saying, look how that turned out.
Well, Iran is not North Korea. Iranian society is not North Korean society. Domestically speaking, Iranian government cannot afford to take such drastic actions as North Korea did. And of course, what brought Iran back to the negotiation table this time around was the economic, political and social pressure. And it shows that the Iranian government does not feel completely confident with pursuing its nuclear ambitions without taking into consideration the demand of its own people. And of course, the demand of Iranian society today, with the election of President Rouhani, with the 2009 election crisis that has taken place, with the popular support for the Rouhani administration and its nuclear policies, proves that Iran is not North Korea, and Iranian government has and will be a rational player.
Okay, good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us on Sky News this afternoon.